Believe it or not, the Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 3 has already been out for 6 months. Samsung dropped the latest iteration of their folding phone last August for the eye-watering price of $1,800. And as awesome as this phone seemed at the time, there was no way I was dropping almost $2,000 on a phone. But now that it's been out for half a year, I was able to pick one up used for a little over $900, which is still expensive but more in line with a normal flagship price. Let's see if it's worth it. So what was initially on offer for $1,800? That's a really high asking price, essentially the price of 2 flagship phones. But then again, that's kind of what you get with the Z Fold 3, with some caveats. The smaller front screen is 6.2 inches, and that unfolds to the larger 7.6 inch inner screen. The build is a solid, heavy aluminum frame with glass on the front and back, and it's thick, like really thick. The hinge is solid and can hold it pretty much any position, which is pretty cool. The inside screen is still that same plastic screen from previous models, but it has been enhanced to feel a little more solid and glass-like, according to Samsung. It's got a Snapdragon 888, 12 gigabytes of RAM, a 4400 mAh battery, and it starts at 256 gigabytes of internal storage. To name a few other specs, this phone is IPX8 water resistant, it has stylus support, dual stereo speakers, wireless charging, reverse wireless charging, and the base model Fold 3 comes in 3 colors, Phantom Black, Phantom Silver, and Phantom Green. Real original naming scheme there. So what's it like using the Z Fold 3 as a daily driver? Well, I think the best way to sum it up is equal parts amazing and frustrating. Let me explain. The front screen is usable, and it's an upgrade over previous Fold generations, but the aspect ratio makes it kind of awkward. It's very tall and narrow, which makes one-handed use more difficult than it should be. But that problem is magnified because you're probably going to end up using the front screen more than the larger inner screen. That seems stupid because you're paying a premium for that large inner screen, but for quick notifications like text messages, phone calls, emails, you're just going to whip it out of your pocket and reply quickly. But this form factor makes for an unpleasant typing experience. The keyboard is tiny and almost unusable for people with larger hands. That being said, it's really cool all the apps can be accessed and work just fine from the front screen. But to really enjoy this phone, you're going to want to take the time to open it up. Now let's talk about the star of the show, that huge 7.6 inch inner screen. It is awesome. Having so much real estate for apps and media is a real game changer, and you really don't know what you're missing until you start using a screen this big. Games, YouTube, Netflix, they're all enhanced and just better overall experience on a larger screen. Now, not everything is optimized for this form factor, as some apps will have black bars on the top and bottom, and the zoom to fill function really cuts off too much of the screen on sometimes. As I said before, the inside screen is technically plastic, so you'll have to be a little more cautious with it than you would a glass screen with sharp objects like fingernails or even using the wrong stylus. But stylus support is there if you want it. I've never personally understood the desire to use a stylus with a phone, but some people swear by it, so it's better that it's included than it's not. But you do have to buy the stylus separately, but it's only...
Mother of God.
Let's talk about the cameras. This phone has a ton of cameras. There's a hole punch camera on the front, a now sort of disappearing hole punch camera on the inside of the phone, and 3 cameras on the back. The 3 in the back include a wide, ultra-wide, and telephoto lens. All are 12 megapixels. Look, the cameras are good, but they're not class-leading, and they're definitely a step behind the latest iPhone and Pixel phones. For some reason, Samsung did not include the excellent cameras from the S21 Ultra, but these are pretty solid, and they include a ton of modes and a decent digital 10x zoom from the telephoto lens. The photos are sharp, punchy, and will be enough for the majority of people. Let's talk about battery life. Battery life is hard to nail down on a phone like this, because it's going to be really subjective depending on how much you use the larger screen, whether you have the screen set to 120 Hz, and they both do 120 Hz. But I usually average around 4 to 5 hours of use. You can kill it really quickly using that inner screen. It does have 25 watt wired charging, which could be faster, but it's good. So what did I not like? Well, let's start with the inside hole punch camera. It's there in the upper right corner. It's cool that it kind of disappears, but I'm not sure the phone really needed it at all. The quality isn't really great anyways, with a constant haze from the pixels over it, and with the ability to fold, you can take selfies from pretty much any position with the front or back cameras anyways. So yeah, give me that uninterrupted screen instead. Second, I didn't like the crease. Now it doesn't really bother me that much, but it's definitely visible, and you can feel it anytime you swipe across the middle of the phone. It's just something you have to accept right now with a folding phone until Samsung changes up the body style. Another thing I didn't really like was the software. There are a lot of apps that aren't optimized, which is not necessarily Samsung's fault, but say if you open them on the front screen and try to continue on the inside or vice versa, a lot of times you'll have to relaunch the app to continue using it. And lastly, this is mostly a two-handed phone. I tried and tried, but I could not figure out a good way to open this one-handed. So anytime you want to enjoy the larger screen, you have to be pretty intentional with how you hold it and open it up, because you definitely don't want to drop this phone. Now, all of the complaints aren't huge and are mostly just me nitpicking, but just think about how much this phone launched for, and then even how much it's going for used. If you feel like these compromises are worth that sweet, sweet large screen, then it's a no-brainer. It's awesome. But if it feels like maybe you're giving up a little too much just for a bigger screen, then wait and see what Samsung comes out with later this year with the Fold 4. As for me, I don't think I'm going to hold on to this one. I really like what it offers, but it just feels like it's not quite there yet. Anyways, that's all I've got for today. Thanks for watching, and hey, maybe subscribe. I'll see you in the next one.